Hey guys! So as you might know, I just finished high school, and for my final year I had to do 3 canvases, which is more than I've ever done in a semester, so that's why I had to stop making YouTube videos for a while, because those 3 paintings took up so much of my time. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about each canvas, what my ideas were, what my inspiration was, what the project was, and I'll even be incorporating some history because this year learning about art history and different artists was a huge component and it became very, very important when it came to the projects. I hope I'm able to teach you a little bit about art history and some different artists, and I hope you search them afterwards because they're completely and utterly magnificent and so fascinating. I love learning about it, and I hope I can pass it on to you as well and maybe teach you something you didn't know. With that being said, I'm only going to talk about a little bit of the history, not too much, only what's important in regards to my painting. So without further ado, I hope you learned something, I hope you enjoy this video, and thanks so much for watching. And now I will start talking about my paintings. Alright, so the first painting I completed took me the longest. In total, I spent 3 months on this painting, and you'll understand why once I begin explaining it. So for this project, I began to learn about an artist whose name is Caravaggio, and he is an artist who was a part of the Baroque movement. Basically, the Baroque movement included paintings with very, very dramatic scenes that captured a sense of movement. Also, there was an extremes of lights and darks, so the darks were very dark and the lights were very light, which kind of put a spotlight on the people and the objects in the painting. He is an Italian painter, and he actually passed away at the age of 38, and his death is a bit of a mystery. Caravaggio had a bit of a temper, and he ended up picking fights with a lot of people, so he did create a lot of enemies. It's unknown to the cause of his death. Some say he was murdered, some say he was poisoned, but where he went, who killed him, or what even happened is still a mystery to us today. So my job with this first canvas was to use the style that Caravaggio did in my own way. Basically, what Caravaggio did is when he painted a portrait of a person, or he did a face, or whenever he was doing skin, he would start off by painting a layer of red. This red layer acted as the flesh that we all have underneath our skin, and basically what he did afterwards was build up the pigment by including little bits of paint mixed in with a mixture to create a thin transparent layer on top of the red. And he did this multiple times over and over again until the person's skin turned a regular skin color. So the canvas you see right now is the one I created using Caravaggio's process. So I did the exact same thing. I started by painting all of her skin red, and then on top of that I used a gluey material known as glaze, and I mixed it with a bit of pigment each time, which was white and yellow, and slowly with more and more layers the red started to disappear, and I created the skin color that you see in this painting. Even though I covered all the red on top by the skin color, the point of the red is to kind of put the color underneath, so you still see it with the skin color. She still has a pinky tone to her, and that's because of the red that's underneath all those layers. Caravaggio actually used a different subject matter. He had fabrics and props, and it was very, very dramatic in terms of what he used. I decided to go a different way, kind of focus more on the skin, do a smaller painting that was a little bit more modern in a sense. So I chose a picture of my friend to paint. I thought it'd be a little bit more fun to put my own twist on it and to do something I liked, to make it more fresh and bright and kind of pretty just to look at. So yes, I cannot express to you how many layers I did on this canvas. It took a very, very long time. Just to get used to the whole application was a huge process in itself, because the way you put the layers on is something you have to get used to, the way you hold the brush and the way how much you put on, and even how to mix the glaze and the layers was nearly impossible in the beginning. I'd say there's even more than 150 layers on this painting. Maybe more, I can't really tell. I can't even remember. I wish I counted, but I lost track after a while. It was all worth it in the end because I ended up winning 3 awards for this painting in a contest that I put it in, so I was very grateful for the opportunity, and I was grateful for everything I learned because the techniques really allowed me to learn how to blend more, and it was a really fascinating thing to do. So 3 months later, I finished this canvas and I started my second one, which I will now explain to you guys. So this next canvas only took me 2 weeks to do, which was insane to me because I had just spent 3 months on one canvas, and I start this one and I'm actually done in 2 weeks. So this one was so enjoyable for me because not only did it not take me a long time, but the colors and just the subject matter really made it an enjoyable experience for me, and it's probably one of my favorite paintings I've ever done. So for this painting, I learned about an artist named Suzanne, and he is a French painter who was a part of the post-Impressionist movement. Impressionism was started by Monet, who was a very, very famous painter who is known for his water lily paintings. Impressionism paintings included small yet visible brushstrokes and included also some ordinary subject matter. Later on, there was post-impressionism, which included artists such as Paul Cézanne, and they wanted to disregard the limitations that impressionism put on them, so they did things that were a little bit different. Instead of small brushstrokes, they did very large and distinctive ones. The colors were much brighter and the subject matter was much more interesting. Paul Cézanne was very, very well known for his still lifes, which included draped fabric, some fruit, a bowl. He was very, very well known for those because of its composition, the way he did them, and what he was able to capture. Much like the other post-impressionist artists at the time, his brushstrokes were quite large as well. The colors were pretty vivid and his subject matter was something different than they had ever seen before. My teacher explained to me that he was the type of artist to redo a whole spot of the canvas just so it equaled out with another part that he liked, and if that didn't work, he'd redo everything, start from scratch, and do it over and over again until he was happy. When I was researching Paul Cézanne, I came across a painting called The Peasant, and I was really drawn to it because of the man and the figure that was in it. He was done in a color palette that I loved. I liked the expression on his face, and everything about it I was very, very drawn to. So the painting you see right here is the one I did inspired by Paul Cézanne's The Peasant. Basically, I took a picture of my father in a very similar pose. I used the same colors that he did, or similar to, and tried to recreate it in the best way that I could with my own twist on it. What I tried to do was to achieve the same brushstroke work by making them quite large and exaggerated, but I put my own twist on it by making the colors a little bit more vibrant and the face a little bit more realistic. I did whatever I could to make it look similar to his painting while still maintaining my own style and my own view of what I wanted it to look like. In the end, I was very happy with it because I really liked how realistic my father's face was, while the jacket and the background and everything was a little bit more blurred in a sense, and a little bit less realistic. I love doing this painting so much. It was so enjoyable, and like I said, it only took me 2 weeks, which is really refreshing because I had just spent 3 months on one little one. So this one was much larger, so I was so happy to not only paint my father, but to learn another style and kind of play with color and things like that. So that was my second painting, and now I'm going to be talking about the third and final painting I completed in grade 12. So this painting includes no art history or no inspiration really whatsoever because I only had a week to a week and a half to finish this, and I ended up having to kind of rush it in a way because of the time restraint and because of the process I went through. So for this one, I was supposed to pick another artist to draw inspiration from, but I never ended up doing that because, like I said, time kind of passed and I just didn't have time to do full research and kind of come to a concrete idea that followed another artist. About a month to a month and a half before I started this painting, me and my class went on a trip to New York to study art and just to draw some inspiration for our projects. During our trip there, they were actually filming Anchorman 2, so I ended up taking a picture of a very, very retro cab that was driving around New York City. When I came across this photo again on my laptop, I was immediately inspired and I definitely thought to myself that I want to paint this for sure. So basically the painting you see right now is the one I did of the cab I captured in New York City. Like I said, I only had 2 weeks to complete it, and one of those weeks I actually spent just experimenting and messing around because I went through so many different ideas that I couldn't stay with one. So I finally end up deciding that I wanted to go the realistic route, and so I painted it exactly how it was. But it went through so many different layers that it just took me forever in the first week just to decide what I wanted. But in the end, this is how I finished it, and this is what I decided I wanted it to look like. I had a really great time painting something I've never done before. I've never done a car, so it was kind of difficult to get it the same look as a car would, so that was interesting. I also like painting the people in the background and just everything all together. It was enjoyable, but if I had more time, I felt like I could have done more in a way, so I still don't really feel like it's finished. It was much more of a fun painting I did just to learn and just experiment to see what I can do, and that was very refreshing because the first painting took me so long, it had to be perfect, and with this one I could just kind of do what I wanted to mess with color and to mess with the whole subject matter to see what I could do with it. So in the end, those are all the 3 paintings that I completed in my grade 12 year. I hope you guys liked this video. I hope you learned something from the bit of history that I told you, and if you have any more ideas for art videos, please let me know in the comments below. If you have any more questions about the paintings, please let me know down below as well, because I know I didn't get to a lot of it, so if you have any more questions, I would be happy to answer them. Alright, so once again, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you on my next video, which will be posted on Sunday. Bye!